So I'm back with the police video. And for this one, there's a lot of things wrong with this video. I watched it and I thought, this is insane. Multiple cops not doing the right thing. And the guy that's involved in it is kind of suspicious too. So this involves some of the First Amendment also. Now, first thing you hear on this video is something about dropping some litter, and it's a wife, husband, and a little girl, and they're walking down the street, and someone drops candy. It's the little girl's candy. They don't even know it's been dropped. So a person comes out, shows his badge, and says, please pick up the litter. They do immediately because they didn't even realize it had been dropped. Then the First Amendment guy, his name is Jeremiah Payne. He pulls out his camera and asks the guy that said he was a police officer, what's your name and badge number? And I mean, the guy's head looked like it spun around like the devil came out of him. It looked crazy. So he turns around and he says, put your hands behind your back and get on your knee. And the guy's like freaking out and cussing and cussing and cussing and cussing and cussing. And I'm assuming that's supposed to be part of his First Amendment. So Jeremiah Payne's little girl starts crying. Police officer gets off of the man. Now the camera has fallen. It's been beat on the ground. The assumption is that he is pinned on the ground, but we can't see. And he's let back up when you see the police officer get up and move. At some point he tries to grab the phone too, as you can see when it falls, and anyway, gets back up. After he gets back up, then he decides, the police officer, and his name is William Thorogood, Detective William Thorogood from Metro. He decides he's just going to call 911 now. He's going to tell the police to come, that they had littered in his yard. He wanted them to get off the street. They wouldn't leave. This is what the police officer's telling them. And at the same time, Jeremiah Payne's yelling things at the police officer to tell the 911 call. Jeremiah Payne says, we'll leave and we'll go on away. They just wanted to walk through the neighborhood to make it to the store anyway. They had a buggy and a little girl and the wife walking through the neighborhood going to go to the store. And he won't let them. He detains them. He keeps them from going. They try to leave. In fact, the police officer gets between the wife and daughter and the husband. So we see, finally the police get there. When the police get there, there's two police officers, one female, one male, and they both listen to the detective's story. And then, after hearing what the detective says, which he says there was items thrown into his yard and a yard before, he says that he told them to pick it up, and during that moment they might have picked it up, but there was a tussle that occurred, and it occurred in his yard. Well, then they go over and see Mr. Payne, and Mr. Payne shows them the video, and the video shows different. And after that, the female officer, she is very disturbed by this, what she saw. And she goes, another cop has come up now. It's Officer Begley, I believe. And she walks up to him, tells him all about what she saw. Tell him, I think he did something wrong. Well, the police officer that's in the car said, I probably would have done the exact same thing. And she said, but no, what he did was crazy. They weren't in his yard. They picked up what they said was dropped, and he just tackled him just because he asked him for his badge number and his name. And the guy says, well, I still would have agreed with the detective, and I would have done that too. And she said, well, that is just not right. And he says, well, I'm just going to go on and leave. That police officer leaves, does nothing. Then the male police officer that came with the female police officer, but the male officer goes back and talks to Detective Thorogood. And when he does, he says, well, they have a video, and can we go back over what you said happened? And he tells his story again, and he says that there's an argument, a tussle, and he makes it sound as if he did nothing wrong. And he says, well, if they're going to make a big deal about it, I'm going to press charges. And he says, well, that guy, He's with First Amendment. He's a First Amendment auditor. And right at that very moment when he tells him that, his head goes back like, oh my goodness. Because then he realizes, I guess, by the look on his face, that he did something wrong and he is busted because they know it happened. So from that point on, he decides, I'm going to go and apologize. He goes over there. He goes to apologize. He says he's sorry to the man. He tells the man that it's very hard as a police officer to say sorry and accept that he did something wrong. He is sorry he upset his daughter. Basically made it sound like that was what he was mostly sorry about, but he just wants them to get their trash and go. And all of this is crazy. Officer Begley that was in the police car, not good. The guy that came up with the female police officer did the wrong thing. And absolutely, positively, Detective Thorogood. I just want to know, what do you think of all of this? I think there is a call for an assault for the man. He was attacked by the police officer that was off duty. And later you hear that he just didn't have handcuffs, or the dude would have been arrested waiting for them to come pick him up, which would have even been worse. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. Bye.